Oh, yeah, we're good. That's right. That'll work. Thank you. That'll work.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on two.
Okay.
Okay. All
Yeah, I
right.
think we're all set with
Tie.
Sabrina, you're good?
Thank you.
Okay, anybody?
I was very poor. My parents were on welfare. Neither of them finished 8th grade. And my dad had worked at a hotel for 40-some years, and he had arthritis, which they called rheumatism back then.
Mm-hmm.
And he was told he had to get off the country floor. And he lost that job that he'd had since he was 13 or 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But he had, become heavyweight and all that. When I came down to Dillard, I got in drama as well. I was in a couple of plays at Dillard, and also played football. And nobody knew me in the freshman year, but in my sophomore year, my classmates elected me president of the class.
Okay.
Sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
In football, I became captain my junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And I still graduated in chemistry, college. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody told me that you're from the country, you can't do this, that, or the other.
What is it like? What was it like for you to see all of your kids graduate from HBCUs, especially one graduate from your alma mater?
Well, I had not only one son that graduated from Dillard, I had my nephew and two nieces graduated from Dillard. But that made me feel good that I started something that they felt good about. And my oldest nephew was my roommate. My junior and senior year was his freshman, sophomore year.
Okay.
And he finished in chemistry. Got a job as a chemist in Chicago.
So I got to hear the Professor Lucian stories. I mean,
Yeah, well, Dr. Lucian had his PhD from some Canadian school or something. But anyway, he was a very excellent chemistry teacher. But because I played football, I would sometimes miss the lab where he would give a lab assignments and kids could do it on Fridays. Well, I would, because we had to ride the bus wherever we were going, we would sometimes have to leave on Friday. And Dr. Lucian would come over to make sure that I had Saturdays, even if it was the following Saturday, because we played on Saturday. So the following week, if we were home, he'd make sure, even though the lab was supposed to be locked, because some kids had gotten blown up in the lab at Howard, and that's reverberated around the black campuses. Anyway, he would come over. He didn't have a car. He would walk from where he lived over in the 7th Ward, I don't know exactly where, to let me in the lab. But there was a class in analytical chemistry, which there was two parts of it. First semester was one part, and the second semester. And you had to determine what was in the chemical tube that the professor would give you, and you had to determine what's in there. In the second semester, you had to determine how much of it. That's qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis.
Yeah.
And as a football player, I'm gone on Fridays or Saturdays. But when I was home, Dr. Lucian would walk from his home over in the 7th Ward off of what was St. Anthony. You know it now as something else. Anyway, he would walk over to let me in the lab. And Mrs. Lucian, who taught in the nursing program, would tell me, "You keeping my husband away from me on Saturday." That kind of thing. But she did it in jest and so on.
So, all right. So let's talk about Miss Dillard, or at least, you two had this great Dillard love story. What is it? You met as freshmen. You started to date a little later. She was Miss Dillard, and you.
Well, we couldn't start because she had a boyfriend whose
that's right.
daddy
So
was a doctor, and he was coming in his car to pick her up and all that, and I was walking and had nothing.
But we got him out of the picture.
Okay.
So, so then, and then she was a Delta, Omega, and so you You two have this really, really, and you're the captain of the football team. So you
She
two
was
have this
captain
really,
of the cheerleaders.
and she was the captain cheerleader. So you two have this really, really cool Dillard love story. And one of the things I see on social media is I see so many people say, I want this lasting relationship. I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to be in a marriage that's over 50 years. So for the modern person, for people today, what advice do you give them though about having a good, lasting relationship, and then on top of that, having 6 great kids and great grandkids and great grandkids? So, what advice do you give people like that when you hear them say, "I want something that really lasts"?
Well, you do a lot of talking about where you want to go in life, and instead of jazz and jive and so on. And she was very popular, and I became known and I guess popular too, because as president of my class, sophomore, junior, and senior year, as captain of the football team. By the way, I made all conference, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know other than to just talk a lot about where you want to go in life.
Yeah.
And we engaged in our senior year. She was Miss Dillard, and actually the president would crown the queen. She would be escorted out by someone, and the football captain would come from the side, the other side, and stand with the president as he crowned Miss Dillard. So I had my frat brothers have my frat pen, and they had a picture of it. So they were showing it, and I pinned her after the president crowned her. I didn't have no money to buy a ring. I bought that later for a birthday by borrowing some money from my older brother who had gotten out of the military, forced by his girlfriend to go back to school.
Yeah.
So he went to Tennessee State, and I borrowed money to pay down on the ring and replace the frat pen with the ring.
So you've made this great investment in your alma mater in Dillard. What does that investment mean to you?
It's a little payback. Dillard gave me the start that I had no idea I would be able to do. It was Dillard who let me go 4 years without paying a nickel, not taking any loans. It was Dillard who handed me off to Howard. The dean of the graduate school came to speak at Dillard. And the dormitory director said, "Sutton, Dean Thompson is over there in the guest house. You go over and talk to him." I said, "About what?" She said, "About graduate school. He's dean of the graduate school." I didn't say anything, but how this lowly dormitory director know this big dean in my mind? She's a dormitory director, and she knows person. I told him. And when I walked in, he said, "So you're William Sutton." Fanny Ridgeway had been telling me some nice, fine things about you. Said we were in elementary school together out in Mexico, Missouri. So you never know who knows who.
You have so many alumni from Dillard who move on to, who aspire to be leaders. They aspire to be presidents, or they aspire to be CEOs, or they aspire to become leaders in their fields. What were some of the biggest leadership lessons that you learned that you would like to share with either students or young alumni?
Well, the biggest thing is to accept the fact that you don't know everything about anything. There's still something out there to learn about everything you could possibly go in. But the other thing is find people who do know and find out what they know that you can use. Keep your chin up, keep hustling, keep trying, but you can go all the way.